All right, so today we're going to do a really deep, almost forensic dive into a single verse from the Qur'an, Surah Maryam, verse 49. And what's fascinating is how we're going to unpack an entire philosophical system about the human soul, all from this one line, based on a specific commentary. So, just to be clear, everything we're about to discuss comes from this one single source. It's a transcript of a lecture, a tafsir, on this verse. We're going to approach this like academics, breaking down the author's argument piece by meticulous piece. And this is it. This is the verse that starts it all. Surah Maryam, verse 49. Every single complex idea we're about to get into, it all spins out from this one text. It's describing this divine gift that was given to Abraham after he left his people. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We've got a 6-part roadmap. We'll kick things off with the verse itself, focusing on that key word, bestowed. You'll see how that one word opens up a whole discussion on the nature of the intellect. Then we'll get into why prophecy is still needed, what the human soul is, and then the really granular part, the 2 different functions of the intellect. Finally, we'll see how it all comes together as one unified system. All right, part 1. Let's start with the theology of it. The commentator really hones in on one single powerful word in this verse, bestowed. So that word is hiba in Arabic, and the author makes a really big deal about this. This isn't just a reward, It's not like Abraham did something good, so he got paid for it. No, the author stresses that hiba means a pure gift, an act of absolute, unearned divine grace. It wasn't a transaction. It was a bestowal, given completely freely. That distinction is crucial for everything that follows. Okay, so from that one theological point about the gift, the commentary just takes off, launching into this incredibly deep philosophical argument. And it all starts with defining the most fundamental concept of all, the intellect, or what's called aql. Now, when the author talks about the intellect, the aql, we're not just talking about human reason or being smart. No, this is something way bigger. It's presented as this cosmic, almost primordial force. It's the very first thing God created, described as a substance of pure light. And get this, according to the text, this intellect lives in the spiritual realm, the alam al-malakut, but it's the thing that governs our physical world, the alam al-mulk. So it's literally the bridge between 2 different planes of existence. So that naturally leads to a huge question, right? And it's one the author sees coming. If we have this incredibly powerful, light-based intellect that's connected to the spiritual world and guides us, do we really need anything else? Is that enough all on its own? And the author's answer is a very clear, very firm no. And that brings us right to the 3rd major point of the argument, why prophecy is absolutely necessary. This is where the logic of the argument really clicks into place. See, the intellect and prophecy aren't seen as being in competition, not at all. They're presented as 2 sides of the same coin, 2 complementary guides. The intellect is your internal guide. It helps you grasp the big universal truths, like there is a creator. But prophecy, that's the essential external guide. It delivers the specific, practical laws you need to actually run a society. So you could say one helps you understand the why, and the other gives you the how. And you can see it right here in the source text itself. The author lays it out plain as day. They argue that just like a city or a society needs laws to avoid chaos, our own intellect needs the framework of prophetic law to function properly. Without that external structure, our internal compass just can't guide the whole community in the right direction. So, the system keeps building on itself. From intellect and prophecy, the author now introduces another critical piece of the puzzle, the human soul, or the nafs. So what is the nafs? Well, it's defined here as the soul, the self, your psyche. It's the part of you that actually experiences the world through your 5 senses. Its main job is to manage your physical body, but, and this is key, it doesn't just do its own thing. It operates under the direction of that higher intellect we were just talking about. Okay, now we're getting into what is probably the most detailed and honestly the most crucial part of the entire commentary. The author says that to really get how the intellect guides the soul, we have to break it down into its 2 distinct functions. And this really gets to the heart of the problem the author is trying to solve here. How does something abstract, like a perception of truth that the intellect understands, actually turn into a concrete physical action? Like deciding to move your hand? The solution, according to the text, is this really clear division of labor. First, you have the theoretical intellect. Its only job is perception. It just sees what is and what is not.
A great metaphor for it is a lamp. It doesn't do anything, it just illuminates reality. But then you have the practical intellect. Its job is all about action. It takes what the theoretical side sees and then decides what should be done. It's the manager that gives commands to the body.
And we can see the author laying this out with just incredible precision right here in the document. This split between the perceiving faculty, the nazri, and the acting faculty, the amali, this is really the linchpin holding this entire philosophical system together.
So what does this look like in practice? Well, it gives us a really clear 5-step process. Step 1, the theoretical side perceives a reality, like, hey, that water is good to drink. Step 2, it shoots that information over to the practical side. Step 3, the practical intellect then cooks up the motivation, the desire, and the will to actually drink it. Step 4, it sends a direct command to the muscles in your arm, your hand, and so on. And finally, step 5, the body acts. Just like that, an abstract thought becomes a physical action.
All right, so for our final section, the commentary does what all good arguments do. It brings everything back together. It synthesizes all these different ideas into one coherent whole. And here's the big unifying idea. The author makes it crystal clear. We are not talking about two totally separate intellects. The theoretical and the practical, they're just two different faculties, two different powers of one single unified reality. And what is that reality? It's the human soul, the nafs that we talked about earlier. And you can see how the source text wraps this all up. The conclusion is that the whole point of being human, of having a self, is to use both of these powers, the power to perceive and the power to act, in perfect harmony, so we can fully understand our existence. So what's the ultimate takeaway here? The whole purpose of human consciousness, according to this commentary, is to get these two faculties, the theoretical and the practical, to work in harmony. And if we can do that, if we can balance our ability to see the truth with our ability to act on that truth, then we can start to understand not just the physical world we live in, but also that spiritual realm where the intellect came from in the first place. The commentary itself ends with this traditional phrase of praise, and praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. And we're going to end our explainer there too. We follow this author's logic all the way from a single verse to a complete, intricate system of the soul. It really leaves you with something to think about, doesn't it? How does this model of perception and action of an internal and external guide change how we see our own choices and our own understanding of the world?